Hey, what's going on? It's Terror Talk, baby. What's up?
Hey, first off, how you doing?
How you doing?
Put the phone down. Just talk to us.
Talk to me.
Go ahead, do it. Tell us your deepest dark
Like the
secret
movie,
right now.
Talk to Me. So, what's going on, Terror Talk? We're going to do a quick review today. We want to talk a little bit about Insidious 2. Why Insidious 2? Seems pretty random, right? Well, Insidious Red Door has just come out, so we got a review for that. But 2 is kind of the first one before Insidious the Red Door. So
Yeah.
it takes place after that directly. It's a direct sequel, as in Insidious 3 and 4 happened before Insidious 1.
Yeah.
It's very confusing, this Insidious
But
timeline.
did it have to be confusing?
Yeah. yeah, it had to
Just
be.
to keep it nice and spicy?
Yeah, you know why? This is the problem with Insidious movies. This is the number one issue, and I always brought this up. The number one issue that Insidious 1 made was killing Lynn Shay. They didn't realize how popular that character was going to be.
Yeah, because she was like the seance from Poltergeist. You know what I mean? Like that little girl. Everyone remembered her at that
Everybody
time.
remembered.
Everybody talked about her. Everybody couldn't get enough of her. And the same thing with Lynn Shay.
Yeah, Lynn Shay. And so when they killed her in the first movie, at the end of the first movie, if Insidious was a standalone film, we would have been good to go. No problem. But since it made a shitload of money, they were like, we need more films. And the most popular aspect of those films, arguably, was Lynn Shay.
Yeah.
So what they did was after Insidious 2, they were like, well, we need more Insidious movies. What do we do? And they were like, well, at the end of Insidious 2, you had Jenna Ortega's sister get possessed.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, well, we can't do any of this.
Mm-hmm.
We got to go back in time and do a Lynn Shay origin story.
Yeah.
So that's 3 and 4, which were, I like 3. I didn't like 4.
But you know what? When they showed Lynn Shay when she was younger in the movie.
It didn't match the voice.
Right?
Yeah.
That was so weird. I'm like,
We're talking Insidious 2 right now. Yeah.
Like, her voice, it didn't have to, it could have been like that voice.
Yeah.
She could have made her way to get that kind of deep
right
smoker.
Yeah. It was like you had this young blonde girl, and she was just like running around, maybe in her 20s, and she's like, hey, I'm Lynn Shay. We got to find this ghost. I was like, whoa.
I would have been like, ma'am, you need to leave and go to the hospital.
You need to go to the hospital immediately.
You may have cancer. So
yeah, no, seriously, that's not a joking matter.
No, how deep her voice is at that age.
So
I'd have been like, whoa.
Her voice was so deep.
Yeah.
But no, Insidious 2, we're going to talk a little bit about Insidious 2, what we liked, what we disliked.
Yeah.
Insidious 2, did you like the movie?
No, I didn't like it.
Oh, my God.
And I'm just going to be honest with you. It's a movie that you could watch and you're just like, okay, this, because, you're invested from Insidious 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, all right, I got to see this, right? And you're like, all right, it wasn't that good. It was just kind of weird. Like I told you before, it was kind of like a watered down Shining.
Yeah.
Very heavily watered.
I
like
felt
as far as the dad trying to kill the kids.
Yeah, I felt like Patrick Wilson's character was kind of like he was doing his best impersonation of Jack Torrance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was so, for me, I liked it the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
I rewatched it
agree.
recently.
Like when I watched it, I was like, oh, okay, whatever. I think because you're still from that high from Insidious.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
And I rewatched it. Yeah, exactly. Because I really loved Insidious, so I'm giving it a pass. I rewatched it recently before I watched The Red Door, just to be familiarized with it, because I know this was a sequel to it. And man, it does not hold up. It was super boring.
It's super boring, and it's just, I don't know. This just
wasn't there, and that's a James Wan movie too. He really directed that one.
But wouldn't you have known that he was possessed the whole time?
Mm-hmm. Like not
like,
from the very beginning.
I feel like from the beginning.
Well, the audience or the family?
The audience.
Oh, yeah, no, the audience definitely.
Like I think they were trying to play it
They made it obvious.
We don't know this.
Yeah, I know, but it was kind of like,
well,
the baby was out of the crib, right? There was a scene where the baby was out of the crib. It's like, the baby's out of the crib, just like last time. We need to call somebody. He's like, listen, we need to just move past everything. I was like, wait, what? No.
Like, he was like, no, it's over, right? And you're like, didn't we go through this shit again?
Yeah.
Before,
Yeah, it's not very interesting. I mean, the most interesting aspect of that movie for me is the villain. The main villain of the film was a victim of grooming. Yes. Right, because he was a boy, and then the mom. What was the reason why? Because the dad left or something?
I think it is because the dad left.
Yeah, and she wanted him to become a woman.
So. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
A girl, right? Yeah. So she was forcing him to
like
wear to dress up like as a girl and be a girl, and would beat him.
Far back.
Yeah. Whoa.
Into the further. Whoa.
And beat him. Until that he submitted to being a child. I think that's the most disturbing and interesting aspect of the film. But it's kind of played, not for laughs, but it's played like with like silliness. Yeah. She's like, how dare you? And she's like slapping him. And then she's like really abusing the main villain of this movie. He's like he's just as much a victim as his victims in a way.
I'm remembering in Insidious 2 when she got the wife Rose Byrne.
Yeah.
She got her ass slapped.
Oh yeah.
Don't you just out of nowhere?
Don't you dare! She got slapped. Yeah,
the ghost slapped the shit out.
Yeah, and knocked her out.
Yeah, she's just like.
And then what
Can
they
you
also
imagine
do
that
is,
a ghost slaps the shit out of you out of nowhere?
I can imagine it.
It's
Slap
like
my
they
ass.
slap the shit out of you.
And then they play with a lot of the Patrick Wilson's character is possessed. He in the first movie he gets possessed, and I think it would be such a stronger film if they just left it at one movie and just continued on. But they had to make the second one, right?
Yeah.
I think the one aspect they're afraid to take it to levels that other movies would probably do it. Not every other movie, but more controversial movies because. This is now he's embodying the body of the husband, and there's a scene where Rose Byrne is sleeping on the couch, and Patrick Wilson, who is not Patrick Wilson, who's the villain, he's like caressing her face and stuff like that. And this is a very sexually repressed, boy, and that was forced to kill women because of his mom and everything like that. So it's like, okay, what's going on here? It feels icky, but it doesn't ever take it that far. It's a PG-13 movie, right?
It should have though.
I mean, it would have been interesting.
Hey. It's not that I think
they
it would
were
have made the movie
to.
more interesting. Yeah, they were afraid. That would have been like, wow.
It's the same thing in movies.
It would have helped out with the character.
It's the same thing in like Evil Dead Rise, right? Just to bring it back to Evil Dead Rise for a quick second.
Elevator scene?
No.
Oh.
Well, that too, but I want to just touch upon like the movie tropes. Like this is a PG-13 horror movie where the implication is there, right? Evil Dead Rise, you have a little kid in that movie. At no one point in time did you think that little kid was going to die. Yeah. Like, he was never in real danger. It was a big studio film for the masses.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of insulting to say that this was going to, this was going to happen. In the same sense that you think that Rose Byrne is going to get assaulted, you know damn well that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
Big studio movie, big successful movie, PG-13, Patrick Wilson. So you already know the beats that it's going to go through.
Yeah.
It's disingenuous in that sense. That's where I'm comparing the two. Like, they're not willing to take it that step further. like other films that are not studio made films for the wide masses. Like that's why I appreciate movies that are like more avant-garde, which the first Insidious was kind of like that.
It
wasn't they didn't believe in it enough. They only gave the budget was so small, and the distribution was weird, and only until they proved themselves to be successful they gave them real money to do the next movies. But for me, that movie was cheesy, it was boring. I mean, it was like all over the place. Like the comedy aspects that worked in the first movie felt out of place in this one for some reason.
And it's weird too because you go from that to this, and you're just like, oh man. But back to the whole like on the high of Insidious.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like I remember when I first saw it, I was like, oh okay. Did it scare me? No. Was it like some parts I was like, oh this is cool, but it's a very forgettable movie.
Very forgettable. Yeah, I forgot half the things that happened in the movie. I just rewatching it. I'm like, oh okay, I remember that.
Her getting her ass slapped.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. Slapped, and then
I was laughing so hard at that because it just came out of nowhere. I understand with the jump scares, but this one was just funny. Yeah. It's just dumb.
And then so he, in the beginning of the movie, he kills, or in the end of first movie, he kills Lynn Shay.
Yeah.
Right? And then she looks at the camera. She takes a picture, and then Rose Byrne's character in the first movie looks at the camera like, oh, shit, it's the ghost.
Well, it shows Patrick is the
ghost. Yeah, but then that kind of gets washed away in the second movie. They're just like, oh, yeah, forget that happened.
He brings it up, though, in part 2. He's like, hey, do you think, out of nowhere, too, do you think I killed her?
Yeah.
And she's like, and you saw the picture, right?
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, yeah, I would have been like, yeah, you fucking did it.
Yeah, so it's kind of like kind of muddled, but then they inform her that it was different fingerprints on her throat, and you're like, okay, well, whose fingerprints? They're like, no. And then the set pieces, the scares are kind of tired. It's kind of almost like a rehash of the first one in terms of like, oh, there's somebody in the background. Oh, this and that. The story deviates more away from the family. It's more about Patrick Wilson in the further, trying to get out and trying to get back to his body, and it's just kind of like, man, I was not having a good time when I watched it the second time around.
Yeah.
I didn't like it as much as the first one, and I think it's a bad movie.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. It's one of those things, watching it again now, just to get ready for the Red Door, you're like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah, this sucked. Yeah, remember we were joking about it before when you said, yo, Insidious 2 sucks, and I'm like, no, it's all right. No, it sucks. It's a bad movie.
It's like a funny bad movie. You know what I mean? There's so many parts in the movie that are just funny.
Like silly, goofy
scenes.
You're
just like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, and the whole fight scene that they have, like when they're trying to sedate him, and then they all get their asses kicked, like by this Patrick Wilson ghost, like, I'm sorry, 3 against 1. It's not. I don't care if it's like 3 old men against one guy. Like, you're not gonna beat my ass. Like, you're not gonna beat our asses like this. And then the 2 characters, Specs and that big dude forgot his name. I always
Yeah, I
forget his
forgot,
name.
but he's a great actor.
Yeah,
though.
he comes in there and he gets stabbed with a needle. It's just comical. So it's just like
Specs got his ass beat with the hammer, right?
Yeah, was it? I
think he had a hammer
or
at
a
one
bat.
point,
I think he had a batters or hammer, something like that.
Yeah.
And then they just get wrecked, and it's just kind of like, it's just goofy. It's a goofy, frustrating scene, and the movie is just a goofy, frustrating movie that adds nothing to it. Like, how powerful would it have been if Insidious just ended like that?
It would have been great.
The first Insidious.
And then they just kept going different, like, let's go on this guy's backstory.
Yeah. If that story ended, that family story ended like that, it would have been like so haunting. Like when you think back on it, you're like, oh my God, that's how it ended. Like
that's fucked up.
Yeah, because then now your mind is racing to see what he does next. Is this ghost going to kill the rest of the family, or
it's connected to paranormal activity?
Yeah.
He's the demon that's been going to the houses.
Yeah,
and stuff like
and
But not to cut you off, but you know what's a cool backstory that they should do? It's on Specs and how they
became. I want to know
their
that.
ghost hunting stories and stuff like that.
Because they're not very good at hunting ghosts. Like this was like the first ghost that was real. Like they were like,
they were trying other stuff. They're like, it's gonna be whatever, and they're like, oh,
you see them in 2 and 3 and 4, and then they're in those movies too. So they're hunting real ghosts back then too.
Yeah,
but it felt like they were totally inept in this movie. But
with Specs, I think he's been doing it for a while. I feel like the other guy is new.
Okay,
like new into like
because if you look at part 4, that demon, the key demon, Key face? What was his name?
Keith McKee.
Keith McKee. He was pretty dangerous.
Yeah,
because he could open up all the doors and everything.
Yeah.
So then when you get to the lipstick demon, they felt severely unprepared for him.
Yeah, because the lipstick demon is like, whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah, but key demon, Keith McKee, excuse me, Keith McKee, he felt super powerful. Like he could unlock shit and come in whenever he wanted and do whatever he wanted, and lock doors. I mean, you got keys, man.
The key master from the Matrix.
That's his backstory. Yeah, that's what he became eventually.
Imagine that's what he becomes.
The little Asian guy with keys became this big monster.
He's running around just like
he became a little Asian guy from the Matrix. Became this
awesome
key monster.
Was that character though from the Matrix? He's like, I've been waiting for you, Neo. And he has the keys. Like
he had a key for every door.
He's like just
But the one key he didn't have was a key to my heart.
Yeah.
But that was our that was our review for Insidious Part 2. Have you seen it? Did you like it? Let us know in the comments below.
Are you ready for the red door?
Yeah. Are you?
Are you sure?
Are you sure? Did you look behind you? Now, click on our next video to find out what we thought about Insidious the Red Door, the new movie that's out in theaters now.
Yep. Let's do it.
If you like this video, click the like button, hit the subscribe, and hang out with us if you like movie reviews, news, and everything related to horror. And don't be afraid to tell your friends about us, too. Be very afraid. Terror Talk out. Boof.